Nadia had always been drawn to Joshua from the moment they met. He was not only attractive, but also genuine and kind-hearted. With him, she felt she could be herself without pretense. Unlike her friends who believed that capturing a man's attention required manipulation and deceit, Nadia preferred authenticity. She despised the idea of compromising her individuality for gifts, fancy dinners, or luxurious vacations. She believed that someday she would meet a man who would accept her with all her flaws, creative crises, and complex personality. When Joshua entered her life, Nadia knew he was the one she had been waiting for. He embraced her quirks, enjoyed the unusual music she composed, and admired her vibrant hair, and even the eccentric tattoo she had on her leg, which he also got to match hers. They complemented each other perfectly, and it wasn't long before they decided to live together. Neither of them had their own place, so Joshua suggested they move into one of the rooms in his mother's spacious 4-bedroom apartment. However, Maeve, Joshua's mother, was vehemently opposed to the idea. She saw Nadia, an orphan from a small town, as a freeloader, trying to secure housing no matter what. "Who do you think you're bringing here?" Maeve shouted. "Mark my words, this crazy girl will drive us out and take the apartment for herself. Look at her hair and that tattoo. She might even be an ex-convict." "Mum, what are you saying?" Joshua retorted. "Nadia is a wonderful person, and I have the same tattoo. We got them together." "I knew it. It's all her bad influence," Maeve exclaimed, her prejudices clouding her judgment. Despite Maeve's resistance, Joshua and Nadia remained steadfast in their love and commitment to each other. "Mum, enough. I can't listen to this any more," Joshua declared, getting out of the apartment. "If you don't want her here, fine, but I won't stay either. We'll find our own place, and you can live here alone." Maeve continued to shout after him, convinced that Nadia had manipulated her son. Blinded by hatred and a desire for revenge, she couldn't see past her prejudices. Meanwhile, Joshua and Nadia rented a modest 1-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city and found happiness in their newfound independence. Soon, Nadia discovered she was pregnant, and Joshua, overjoyed, proposed to her. Their wedding was small, with only close friends in attendance, as Maeve, still holding on to her resentment, chose not to participate in this absurd event from her point of view. The first ultrasound revealed that Nadia was expecting twins. The news was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The newlyweds wondered how they would manage with 2 babies, but were determined to face the challenge together. Nadia was thrilled at the prospect of motherhood, eager to provide her children with the love and stability she never had. Joshua supported her in every way he could, understanding the unique struggles she faced. When the twins were born, Joshua took on a second job, driving a taxi in the evenings, while Nadia cared for the 2 infants alone. As the babies grew, so did the challenges, and Joshua saw no other option but to turn to his mother for help once more, hoping that time had softened her heart. Nadia was sceptical about the idea, and her doubts were confirmed when Joshua returned from his visit to his mother. The conversation was brief and unpleasant. Joshua explained their desperate situation, but Maeve remained unmoved. "You made your choice to live with her and left me," Maeve said coldly. "Deal with it yourself. She will never set foot in my home, and neither will her children. The matter is closed." "Fine, I understand," Joshua replied. "But know this, you will never see me again either. You no longer have a son." Tragically, those were the last words Maeve heard from her son. Months later, Joshua died in a car accident after falling asleep at the wheel from exhaustion. Nadia was devastated. With Joshua gone, she faced an uncertain future with 2 young children and barely enough money to survive. In desperation, she turned to her mother-in-law for help, but was met with hatred and malice. Maeve blamed Nadia for Josh's death and offered no support, leaving Nadia to fend for herself and her children alone. "This is all your fault for my son's death. First you lured him away from home, and then you had a bunch of kids, forcing him to work day and night." Maeve accused her daughter-in-law, her voice laced with bitterness. "Get out of here and never come back." Nadia walked home, tears streaming down her face. Her mother-in-law's words, always harsh and unjust, had struck a painful chord. She felt a mix of pain and resentment, but deep down she wondered if Maeve was partly right. The guilt gnawed at her, and she couldn't help but feel responsible for the tragic turn of events. Unexpectedly, Nadia noticed a group of teenagers assaulting an elderly man. She called for help, and when several men responded, she rushed to aid the old man. "Why did they do this to you?" she asked, helping the elderly man to his feet. "They were drunk, arguing loudly and smashing bottles. I told them to stop, and they got angry and did this," the man explained, his voice weak. The man looked unwell, so Nadia accompanied him to the hospital. On the way, they talked. It turned out that Mr. Brown was lonely. His only daughter had passed away many years ago, and he struggled to manage everything alone. He had a weak heart and leg problems, and needed support. "So, Nadia, let's help each other out. I often don't have the strength to go to the store, and I have to ask my neighbours for help. Move in with me. Help me when I need it, and I'll look after your children." Nadia gladly agreed to move in with her children. Mr. Brown, though often felt ill, did his best to support her. The little ones, Ellie and Brandon, adored the old man, and he treated them like his own grandchildren. A year passed, and the children grew a bit older. Nadia managed to enroll them in kindergarten and found a job. However, Mr. Brown's health worsened, and he rarely left his bed. One day, feeling particularly unwell, he mustered all his strength to wait for Nadia. He desperately needed to share a secret he had kept for decades, but she wasn't home yet. Mr. Brown felt his end was near and worried he wouldn't have the chance to say goodbye to those who had become his true family and brightened his lonely life. Nadia returned from work exhausted and upset. The day had been rough, and she had even been reprimanded by her boss. As soon as she entered the house, she heard Mr. Brown's voice. She rushed into the room and saw his pale, almost lifeless face as he tried to speak. "What's wrong? Are you in pain? I'll call an ambulance," she exclaimed, reaching for her phone. "Wait, listen to me," the old man rasped. "I've left this apartment to you and your children. You're the owner now, and there's something else," he began. But before he could finish, he groaned, shuddered, and fell silent forever. Nadia was left in shock, holding on to Mr. Brown's final words. The apartment was now hers, a testament to the old man's gratitude and love for the family that had brought light into his final days. Though his secret remained unrevealed, his generosity ensured that Nadia and her children would have a secure home, a sanctuary filled with the memories of their shared journey. Nadia grieved deeply for Mr. Brown. He had appeared in her life at the most difficult moment, becoming a father figure to her and a grandfather to her children. Even after his death, he continued to support her, as she was now the owner of his apartment and no longer had to worry about where to live with her children. Time passed, and the children grew more independent, but Nadia remained single, not seeking new relationships. She had grown accustomed to relying on herself and solving any problems on her own. Then one day, when the old refrigerator suddenly broke down, she realized she needed a man's help. She could have called a repairman, but she remembered Stephen. Stephen worked with Nadia, was good with technology, and had offered his help if she ever needed it. Nadia knew Stephen liked her, but she wasn't ready for a serious relationship and wasn't sure how he would get along with her children. This time, however, she needed his help and decided to take up his offer. Stephen arrived so quickly it was as if he had been waiting outside the door for a chance to help Nadia and her little ones. Without a word, he went straight to the refrigerator and began his inspection. He struggled to move it away from the wall and remove the back panel, then paused in surprise.
"Nadia, you have a very strange refrigerator."
"It's just old. I inherited it. What's wrong with it? Do I need to buy a new one?" Nadia asked in despair.
"No, it's not that. Come and see for yourself."
Nadia approached and peered behind the back wall of the refrigerator, and her eyes widened in astonishment. Hidden there was a genuine treasure, money and a few gold ingots. Stephen, gazing at the discovery in amazement, tried to ask Nadia where such wealth had come from, but she herself barely understood what had happened. Then she remembered that before his death, Mr. Brown had tried to tell her something, probably about this very treasure, but hadn't managed to.
"I wonder where an ordinary elderly man got so much gold," Stephen mused. "Judging by this apartment, he didn't live in luxury."
"I don't know," Nadia shrugged. "I only lived with him for a year, but he did tell me that he once worked in the gold mines, though I didn't pay much attention to it at the time." After some time, from that incident, Nadia, tired of being alone, decided to let a man into her life and build a strong family. And of course there was no better candidate than the hard-working and always helpful Stephen. Most importantly, he easily found common ground with her children. The little ones were drawn to him, and Nadia had no doubts left. Mr. Brown's inheritance proved very useful for the young family. Nadia and Stephen bought a large house and invested part of the money in a family business, opening a children's cafe. It wasn't just a place to eat healthy, delicious food or celebrate children's parties. Nadia organised a club for young mothers who could come with their children, socialise and relax while animators entertained the kids. But the enterprising young woman didn't stop there. Nadia vividly remembered how difficult it had once been for her, alone with 2 babies and no help. So she organised a small evening children's group at the cafe where parents could leave their kids if they needed to run errands. She used all her experience as a mother. Stephen actively helped her, and over time this idea grew into a full-fledged private kindergarten. Nadia had many other original ideas, and now she enjoyed implementing them in her business. Their cafe grew and developed, becoming one of the most popular places in the city, and eventually transforming into a large family centre where everyone could find something to their liking. Watching grandparents often bring their grandchildren to the centre, Nadia sometimes felt a pang of sadness. Everything was going well for them, except that her children had no grandmothers or grandfathers. She hadn't seen Maeve, Joshua's mother, in a long time, and only knew that the woman had married a much younger man. This didn't surprise Nadia, as Maeve had always taken care of herself, looked young, and with money and an apartment, could be a desirable match for anyone. Nadia was taken aback when she accidentally encountered her former mother-in-law on the street. The woman had aged significantly, her appearance dishevelled, and it was evident that her right arm was paralysed, likely due to a stroke. Maeve looked at Nadia in disbelief. Standing before her was not the rebellious girl with colourful hair and tattoos, nor the worn-out mother of many, but a successful, elegant woman who appeared to be expecting.
"Nadia, dear, are you expecting a baby?"
Maeve whispered, her words slow and laboured.
"And where are my grandchildren?"
"With me, of course," Nadia smiled warmly. "I'm married now, have a wonderful husband, and the children are doing well. We're expecting an addition to the family soon. How are you?"
"Not well, dear,"
Maeve sighed, her eyes welling up with tears.
"I'm guilty before you, my son and my grandchildren. I was selfish, thinking only of myself, and now I'm being punished for it."
Nadia listened, her heart filled with a mix of emotions. She saw the frailty and regret in Maeve's eyes, and understood the weight of her confession. The encounter was a poignant reminder of the passage of time and the power of forgiveness. Maeve confessed that she had acted foolishly by putting her young husband's name on her apartment deed. Immediately afterward, he changed, bringing other women home, humiliating and abusing her, until she suffered a stroke. Nadia felt pity for the poor woman. She held no grudges and had long since forgiven her. She invited Maeve to her home, and Maeve was astonished to see the lovely house and how fortunate Nadia was with her husband. When Maeve saw her grandchildren, she wept again, especially upon seeing Brandon, who looked so much like Joshua. Maeve embraced the children, who were initially wary of the stranger, but soon warmed up to their grandmother, delighted to finally meet her. "Grandma, you won't get lost again, will you?" they asked excitedly. "You'll live with us, right?"
"No, I won't get lost again," Maeve laughed, wiping away tears, and looked at Nadia uncertainly. "But I don't know where I'll live now."
"Of course with us," Nadia smiled. "How could we lose our grandmother again?" Maeve was overjoyed. She realised that Nadia had forgiven her. A month later they helped Maeve evict her husband from the apartment, but she did not return there. She divorced him, signed the apartment over to her grandchildren, and moved in with Nadia, dedicating her time to raising the little ones. The joy of being with her grandchildren brought Maeve not only peace and happiness, but also aided her recovery from the stroke. Most importantly, Maeve understood how unfair she had been to Nadia, and, though the past could not be changed, she was determined to live in the present, cherishing every moment spent with her loved ones.